Hi everybody. Today I'm going to be tying a very effective fly. This is going to be a Caddis Pupa. It's going to use really some basic materials such as Pheasant Tail, some ice dub, and a little bit of CDC. Basically very successful materials in the world of fly fishing. It's a pretty easy pattern to tie, and I plan on illustrating this one just a little bit, but I'll consider this more of a quickly tied pattern than some of the other ones that I've tied for you in the past. So as always, please enjoy the video. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them on this page, and if you like it, please give me that thumbs up for the like. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy watching me tie this CDC Caddis Pupa. This is the finished fly, the CDC Caddis Pupa. I wanted you to just notice a few things before I start tying. It is a bright green caddis body. If I rotate the fly a little bit, you'll see there is a pheasant tail overwing that's tied over the back. This fly is finished with some brown CDC as the legs and some ice dub, peacock colored, at the head right before that black bead. So this is a quick examination of the CDC Caddis Pupa. Alright everybody, as I mentioned, this is going to be the CDC Caddis Pupa. I've already tied on, or I've already placed the tungsten bead head on. I do prefer tungsten on this pattern because I like to get this pattern really deep down when I'm fishing it. I'm just going to be tying in a brown thread. I am going to use copper wire on this. Some patterns don't call for the copper wire. Sometimes you'll see tippet used for the ribbing. Sometimes you'll see some other materials, maybe a thread, or anything else along that line. Really, it depends on the tire. In my case, I'm going to be using copper. I like to just add a little more weight, distribute it throughout the body. That's why, if you'll notice, I am tying the copper on. Right now I'm using it as the body to kind of build up the body just a little bit. Whenever you've tied that copper on, just tie it the whole way to the back. If you notice, I probably went maybe another millimeter past the point of that barb. I want it just a little bit longer than normal. I'm now clipping some pheasant tail. Not many fibers, just a few fibers, maybe half a dozen or so. I'll show you what they look like right now. And I probably have a few too many, so I'm just going to pull one or two out of here. I'm going to tie them on from the tips. So I want the tips facing the front of the hook. I'm just going to lock those in with no more than approximately 3 turns. Once I have those locked in, I want to grab the tips, trim them off. So I have everything kind of in place right now. What you're going to be doing when tying this fly, you're going to be using these pheasant tails as a back. They're going to actually go over the top of the of this pupa body. So they'll act as an overwing for this caddis. This is a very simple fly. Pretty much once you have this stuff on it. What's nice about this fly is that the body can really be based upon whatever caddis you're trying to match. In this case, I'm going to be using more of a chartreuse color. You can use ice dub. You can use a dull, more of an opaque type dubbing. I have some dubbing that I purchased from Oil Creek Outfitters. It's a bright green caddis material. It's very similar to ice dub. So I'm just going to dub a little bit on. I am using brown thread, which will show up a little bit through this dubbing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in this case it doesn't really seem to hurt the body. I don't know if it helps kind of illustrate the segments a little bit more to the fish. Now, the one comment I will make when tying this fly, you do want to be careful about how far up you bring the body. If you bring the body too far up to that head, it will be very easy to crowd that head. So you do want a significant body. You do want the section of body showing through, and you do want to make sure that that green is very visible to the fish. But if you notice, I'm going to stop it right about there, so I have about 3/4 of it tied on. I will be possibly placing a little bit more in after I have everything else finished off, but as of right now, that's more than enough. I'm going to bring the overwing over. Once I have it over, I want to make sure that that brown thread, I'm wrapping it directly in front. I'll lock it down with about 3 wraps. I don't need to go crazy because I'm going to be immediately bringing the wire around. So I made about 4 wraps, and I'm going to finish off with this wire near the front of this bead, and I'm going to bring it back over itself, and then finally wrap off. Just because, again, I really like to build up the front of the fly with a lot of weight. Now, if you take a look at this pattern, what we have going, we have that overwing in the back. That's a pheasant tail overwing. We have a nice green segmented body. Now we need a few more things on this fly, or a few more pieces to make it a little more realistic. I have a piece of brown CDC, and if you notice, these fibers are going to be a little bit long, and that will be okay for this pattern for now, and I will be able to pull those back just a little bit. I'm going to tie this CDC in by the tip, so I'm just going to pull some of it away. So if you've noticed what I've done, kind of removed it from the tip, similar to tying a soft tackle. I'm tying this CDC in, and this is going to act as legs on this pupa. CDC is an incredible material, and they're very lifelike when they're in the water. I'm just going to trim the tip after I have it tied in. And I'm only going to make a couple wraps, because we don't want to go crazy with legs. So I've made about 2 wraps. You can see it looks absolutely crazy, so I'm going to try to pick these out to make sure they're not all locked under one another. Okay, once I have that in place, I'm just going to wiggle this thread through to make sure I don't lock them down in too many spots. I just brought it through twice, and that's all I'm going to really need to bring it through, and you'll see why here in a second. So let me get that CDC out of here. Now, if you're noticing on this video, the legs are really crazy. What's nice, because I have a little bit more room at the front, I'm just going to grab all the legs and slowly pull them back. So you'll see I captured them underneath my thumb and my forefinger. I'm just going to place a couple locking threads, or locking wraps. Now you'll see all those legs have really slingshotted towards the back. This is where I'm going to pinch with my right hand. I'm simply going to grab and pull these legs and just reduce the length of them. I don't want them too long, maybe just barely extending past that body. But this is a shorter body on this fly, so I don't want to do anything crazy whenever I have all these legs going past. Finally, on this CDC pupa, you do want a darker head. I am going to use ice dub, the peacock color for the head. You will not need to go too crazy with this ice dub near the front, depending on how much room you've left yourself for tying. And less is definitely more in this fly, but it is nice to get this ice dub at the front just to give it a little bit of flash. And that's pretty much all I'm going to need right there. I'm going to pull it back, put 1/2 hitch in. Alright, so now it's locked in. Let me finish tying off this fly. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, great. Alright, this fly is now finished. I will be putting on a little bit of some hardhead, a little epoxy on the front, just to make sure everything does finish off well. But if we take a quick peek at this fly, you'll notice I have that pheasant tail overwing, nice segmentation, the CDC legs, that black bead at the front, and that ice dub. Definitely gives the fish something to look at. It will really sparkle and just take off in the water. I'll try to give you that under view. Sorry. So this is a pretty decent fish catcher, and by saying pretty decent, this definitely has caught its number of fish over the years. I highly recommend this fly. This is one that I would typically fish more toward the bottom to the middle of the water column. And this is a great spring color, having this nice bright green for the caddis. Well, I hope you enjoy watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this fly tying video of the CDC Caddis Pupa. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to leave them via this YouTube page. And again, thanks for viewing.